in their car and they should be able to hear you clearly.
Right.
Not look at you. The visual part is new.
It's extra.
Yeah,
It's,
it's a podcast.
right.
It's the listening.
How about just call it the your fired show then?
It's not all in your face.
I wish you'd have told me that, but not. I wasn't listening. I just. Yeah,
I like that one too.
Yeah, I like this. I feel like one of the hot tops, man. Yeah, I feel like one of the hot tops. You know? All right, let's get on this joint, man. What's up? Of course, it's your boy Richie Rich at Your Fired Podcast. You already know who I am, man. I got a good host, good brother, small business owner, entrepreneur to my right. Freeny, what's up, man? What's good?
What's going on, Rich? I appreciate y'all having me on the show.
Man.
You know what I mean? So that's what's up.
Appreciate that. You
chilling.
You chilling? You chilling?
Yes,
You already know it. You're fired, man. What we do here, of course, we talk to entrepreneurs, find out exactly what is it that you do, the service that you provide, and try to help people to be entrepreneurs as well. Small businesses is what runs the world. This is one of the things that I'm starting to learn, that I didn't know how many small business owners that I knew personally. It's crazy, and I love to see it, and I enjoy it. So us being here today, man, like I said, I appreciate what you're doing, appreciate your time. So you got a company called Cutzz, right? That's the name of your company, Barbershop. Talk about Cutzz a little bit for those who don't know what is it that you do as far as the service that you provide and all that stuff.
All right, cool. All right, Cutzz, that's my personal business. That's my barber moniker and logo.
Okay.
And my personal company is Cutzz. But I also own a barbershop.
Right.
My barbershop is Fame Studios.
Okay.
So anybody that works here in Fame Studios, they will be running their personal business out of Fame Studios.
Wow.
Right. So I run my personal business, Cutzz, out of Fame Studios.
Right.
So my personal clientele, right, is serviced by Cutzz.
Right.
The building
Mm-hmm.
and the barbershop is Fame Studios.
Wow.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I really like about it is because that's something that I know I do personally.
Mm-hmm.
I try to empower other people to have their own, to have that freedom and that independence.
Facts.
And I always tell them, trust me, because it's a difficult thing for people to do, to trust you, especially you giving them that opportunity, because that opportunity does not come often, and no job is out here doing exactly what you're doing. All right. So I appreciate that as a brother, that you're doing that you're creating other entrepreneurs and giving them the freedom that they need so they can stand on their own, make their own decision. So just talk about the freedom that you get from you saying Fame Studios is mine. Talk about that freedom and the independence you get from that.
Well, that now Fame Studios, it is mine,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't run it like it's mine. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So Fame Studios is just what houses other small businesses.
Okay.
Right?
All
So
right.
each barber has his own business,
Okay.
right? Inside of Fame Studios. It just so happened that I leased the building
Right.
and I put all of the equipment and got all of the licenses for it.
Right.
You know what I mean? But other than that, there's no ownership being thrown around by me
Right.
in here. Once you sign on,
Mm-hmm.
and you meet all of the necessary requirements to work it, you your own boss.
Wow.
You know what I mean? You do you. This is your business.
Right.
Right? It's your business. It's just like your only thing you're doing is renting a space to do your business in. That's
Okay.
it. It's just like if you would say like renting office space, right?
Mhm.
If you go rent office space, you're running your business, right, out of that office space.
Correct.
The office space don't own your business.
Right.
It's not in charge of your business.
Wow.
Right?
Okay. I see where you're going. I see. It makes sense that. So since you mentioned the requirements, like what are some of the requirements as far as expectations and what I need to do if I'm capable of cutting hair, right? So what are the requirements that I need so I can run my own shop within Famous, within your business?
Fame Studios.
Famous
Okay.
Studios.
Now, since it's not a traditional barbershop,
Right.
right? Your work ethic, your work ethic reflects what you're going to get out of it.
Good
I
point.
have no Fame Studios is not in control of how you run your business, right? If you're not on time, if you don't set your own appointments, or if you do all of those things great,
Right.
that's on you. You're running your own business.
Okay.
You don't have a boss in Fame Studio.
Right.
You're your own boss, right? We're not in control of how your haircuts look, right? Whether you are an excellent barber, a mediocre barber, or a poor barber, that's between you and your clientele.
Okay.
Fame Studios have nothing to do with that, right?
Okay.
So
That makes sense. So how does that work with just thinking of you having your own clientele, I have my own clientele. Does our clientele, is there an issue of stealing each other's clientele, or it's like yeah, I'm saying, I'm just trying to make sure, because that crosses my mind, because of course you don't want it to happen. We're all independent and we're doing our own thing, but your client is sitting right there and they're looking at what I'm doing. You know what I mean? How does that, because most businesses are not really this close to each other. Like, y'all right there. I'm right here, you right there. So I'm just trying to figure out, is there any conflict, or how does that work? Is there, when you sign on being with Famous Studios, is it a matter of a contract and there's certain things that you can't do and you can do, requirements and stuff like that? So that's what I was talking about.
Now, the thing with stealing clientele, you can't steal clientele. Because your clients are free to patronize whoever they want to patronize.
Okay.
Right? If I got a burger joint and a burger joint open up across the street, I can't then say they're stealing my clientele. Obviously, they have better burgers than me. Obviously, they have a product that the people want to pay for.
Okay.
You can't get mad at the person that's offering a better service or a cheaper service, right, than you.
Okay.
Right? One thing when I was in barber school, it was an old head. I never forget him. His name was Smitty. He was one of the teachers. And he gave me a book, and I still had his book. It's ripped up now. I went to barber school in the early 2000s. But it was called The Richest Man in Babylon.
I've read that on YouTube. Check that out on YouTube. I did that.
The Richest Man in Babylon. And one of the main things that stood out in this book, right, is a quote. It said, if somebody engaged in the same business as you and they're more successful than you, they're doing something you're not doing.
Good point.
Simple and plain. So if there's another barber and my clients want to go to them, then I need to watch him more keenly and see what he's doing that's making the clientele want to go to them. So
you just dropped some knowledge there. I want to focus on when you said that you went to barber school, right? You said you went in the early 2000s. What's the process for barber school? Like, how long does it take? What are some of the training and some of the things that you did to gain and own the skills that you have of being a barber?
I went to barber school in the early 2000s. I think I started in around 2004. I think I went to barber school, Avera's International Academy of Hair Design and Technology.
Okay.
Right. And that's in Baltimore. The campus that I went to was down on Pratt Street, but it's not there no more. They moved both campuses and put it out Dundalk now. Okay. But the requirements was 1,800 hours of practical, right? And I think we did like 30-something hours of theory, right? So you had to do 30-something hours of theory, right? And then you had to do 1,800, I think, hours of barber training, far as wise the practical, the
Okay.
hands-on. So once you meet those requirements, then you get tested by the state, right? You take a state board examination on theory, right? Half of the test is theory, right? And that's the written exam, right?
Correct. Okay.
And then the other half is practical, actually performing certain, techniques as as a barber you will do. So you'll do the theory. The theory it consists of, I think, 20% anatomy and physiology, 20% chemical and dyeing and chemical. Then the other 20% is tools. And then the other 20%, I think, is implementation and form.
Okay.
Right? So that rounds out the whole,
Wow.
test.
It's more details than I thought. From the outside looking in. So as far as the practical training, do you guys have people just like come into a barbershop? Like I come to your barbershop, I get a shape up. Is it just people just coming to the school to get a shape up? And what happens if you're training and it just goes left? You done screwed somebody's shape up. Like, what happens there?
Yeah.
Like, do they pay for it? Is it cheaper for them to go to the school than going to a barber? Like, get into a little bit of that for us.
Yeah. Now, barber school, you'll do your theory. They have classrooms.
Okay.
And you do your theory. Then you come out on the floor, right? So you might do an hour of theory every day. And a barber school is set up like a barbershop.
Right.
Right? People come in. It's the chairs. It's the stations. Every student have a chair in the station. Right?
Okay.
And you get your tools. The instructors usually assign clients to you according to what you need to learn.
Okay.
Right? Or where you at on your skill level.
Okay.
Right? So when people come in, right, they'll say, okay, chair number 3. You know what I mean? Boom, boom, boom. And when they get in the chair, they ask for a specific haircut. And it's your job to perform the service or give the haircut that the person asked for. Now you have instructors there that guide you through the haircuts.
Right.
Right. So yeah, that's if you mess them up, you mess them up. And our thing in barber school was when we would mess somebody up, if they was upset, it was a big sign on the front wall that said school. We're appointed.
Wow.
See that sign right there? This is school. You came here for a $5 haircut, you know what I mean, for this reason.
Right.
The haircut is $5 because we are learning.
Right.
Now, ain't nobody in there intentionally trying to mess you up. You know what I mean? But most people are inexperienced barbers until we get around the 3rd or 4th month. Around the 3rd or 4th month, you should have a good command of your tools.
Right.
Because that's the basic thing. Most of the mistakes that you will make is because you don't know how to operate your tools properly.
Right.
So in 3 months, you should understand how to, you know what I mean, work your tools properly, you know, and that will minimize the mistake. So everything after you learn how your tools work is basically your artistic ability.
Okay. You mentioned tools a few times, so I'm looking at some of the tools you have. As a barber, I'm sure it's essential to have good tools, just like any other tradesman or anybody that's working. So some of the tools that you have, I see that you have different ones. Just discuss about the tools that you use and why you use them, right?
Okay. Well, the tools that I use, it range, right?
Okay.
Some of it is for style.
Okay.
Right? Because barbers like to put their own unique style on it, you know. So then a lot of it is for functionality, right? So we have, you know, I have tools that I have just, you know, because of the stylish element of it.
Right.
Then I have tools that's for its functionality, right? Then I have tools that, you know, best help me get the job done.
Right.
You dig what I'm saying? So they are the three categories that I place my tools in. Now some of them overlap into all three areas
Right.
that I just mentioned.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's basically. But I say this: a lot of the tools that I have are very expensive in barbering, so I know I go after style probably more than a lot of other barbers.
Right.
But I know barbers that can use a damn a Walgreen clipper,
Mhm.
right? A $20 clipper,
Mhm.
and get better results than I can with $300.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Because they are so good at their craft.
They're so good at their craft.
They so good at their craft, they can cut with anything. I done seen videos on YouTube with Africans, right, taking razors,
I saw that
right,
the other day.
and combs, and giving whole fades
Fades.
with
I
them.
saw that last night.
Way more talented than me. I depend on my tools, right? You know, I would depend on the guard system
Right.
that come with my tools. I depend on the motors, all of that. But you have to remember, hair cutting existed before technology.
Right.
So the basic equipment is a razor
Right. Get
and a
into that.
comb.
A razor and a comb. Basic equipment. Right. But I never looked at it like that, man. All you hear is click, click, and your perception of things change. Like you said, the stylish of it. Some of them are gold. How they feel, they're a lot smoother, a lot lighter. So when you look at those different things, then yeah, that makes sense. But just from the naked eye, and that's just not my profession. I'm not looking at it as just no razor to comb. I'm like, yo, that joint is slick. Let me hold this to go home and shave my head too. I'll probably mess somebody up. But you make some real interesting points, and that's really one thing that I really like as far as the details of it, of really owning your skills, right? And that's the thing that a lot of people don't really understand, is the mastering of your skills so that you can separate yourself sometimes from others, because the best are the one that's getting more of the clientele, like you discussed earlier. You don't have to chase nobody. If you're good at what you do, people will come. And that's one of the things as a small business owner, that when you first start off, you don't know these certain things, right? So you talk about you read, right? You read certain books. So I really want to get into that aspect because, again, you're a small business owner, you're an entrepreneur. What do you do to help your mentality or your mindset to keep it going? Because you can only go at a certain point of your thought process. So what are certain books that you can probably recommend that you probably read to help you in your entrepreneurship, to give you different ideas, to be creative? What suggestions you might have?
All right. Well, I would say before the event of the internet,
Right.
mostly everything was book-based, right? Textual-based.
Right.
A lot of my learning, as far as why I was barbering, over the last 10 years, has been the internet,
Right.
right? The internet, you consume so much information off YouTube. It is amazing barbers on YouTube. It's amazing people on YouTube doing everything. Anything that I want to learn, I can click on YouTube. Other than YouTube, you have Udemy, you have Skillshare,
Okay.
right? And you can subscribe to these things, and you will have masters in different fields, right? Teaching, their high-level skill in damn near anything that you can think about. Also, there's barber conventions, right?
Okay.
Now, barber conventions, you go to the barber conventions, you get the link with other people in the field that's doing cutting-edge things in the field, so you always stay abreast.
Right.
You know what I mean? With the new techniques, the new equipment, right? The new styles, everything. You stay going to your barber conventions, right? At least every 2 years. If you don't make it every year, at least every 2 years, you should be going, seeing the new equipment, right? Seeing what the the best people in the field, how they're using this equipment, the new styles that they're coming up with, you know, the different techniques, the new techniques, right? Another thing, most of the equipment that that people of African descent use is not made for our texture hair anyway. The clippers and the tools that I have was not made for our texture hair. So we manipulate everything that we do is not textbook, right?
Right.
Because nobody has made a clipper that, you know, cuts our texture hair, you know, it wasn't made for it.
Right.
Now, it cuts all hair because hair is hair. We're
Right.
all human beings.
Right.
But it's just the texture.
Right.
So the guard system and the level system on the clippers is not measured for our hair because our hair is curly.
Right.
That is made for loose curly hair and straight hair. So a lot of times people come into a barbershop, they say, give me a 1, right? Or I want a 2, right? You'll hear people say that, but a 1 on our texture hair is not a 1 on the hair texture that the clipper was made for, right? So all of these things have to be taken into consideration, and you have to know these things because anybody can walk in your establishment, right? Anybody can walk into your establishment, and you have to know what that clipper is going to do or those tools going to do with each texture hair.
Wow. So do they provide that versatile amount of different, I wouldn't say hair texture, but different people with different textures? Do you get that also coming in when you at the school as well, so you can practice on all that stuff?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Now, I would say I knew I was going to be cutting majority African American.
You figured?
Yeah. So I didn't even focus on the other textures of hair
That makes
as
sense.
much, but we had to learn the basics of it, right? So you get mannequins, right, that simulate the different textures of hair, right? So for a basic cut, different textures of hair, yes, you know what I mean? But when you live in a metropolitan area like we do, right, mostly everybody wear their hair the same anyway.
Exactly.
So white people wear this, you know, that will come in here wear the same type of haircuts that we wear.
Right.
A taper, a fade, close cut, nice shape up, hit my beard, same thing. You know what I mean? Same thing.
All right, that's what's up. I like you, bro. I'm impressed. I've never got this much information about being a barber, and this is the great thing about this podcast, is really trying to have information that people can relate to, be able to, if it's something that you want to do, be a master barber. So we can get into that as far as the process of being a master barber, because I noticed when you're all, most of the time barbers will let you know that they're master barbers. Is it a requirement to be a master barber, to own your own shop or anything, or is it just elevates you differently on your certification more than somebody that doesn't?
It just elevates you on your certification in Maryland.
Right.
I don't know about other places. In Maryland now, you don't have to be a master barber to open a barbershop.
Wow.
Right?
See,
I think in 2003, the State Board of Maryland changed it. Before 2003, in order to own and operate a barbershop, right, you had to be a master barber.
Correct.
After 2003, you can be a licensed barber, and that covers the general knowledge for you to be able to own and operate a barbershop. So basically, being a master barber now, it serves no function in the barbering world today. It's just extra $100 that you got to pay to take the test. Right, and it's not anything. Nothing has to do with barbering. For the most part, the general knowledge is a general knowledge test about basically who's the mayor, who's the governor.
What?
Yeah, it's a general knowledge test.
Wow.
To become a master barber it doesn't add anything to your skill.
Yo, we got Z over here
Yeah,
laughing in the
now,
back.
there is a level that if you wanted to teach,
Right.
right, the master barber license is good for that because it is your next step into becoming an instructor.
Oh,
Right, so
okay.
you have it's 4 stages. You have the barber apprentice.
Right.
Right. That's when you're doing your apprenticeship.
Correct.
Your permit to start training as a barber. Then you have your licensed barber.
Right.
That's your second step. That's step 2.
Right.
Then you have your master barber.
Right.
Now that used to be a shop owner. You dig what I'm saying? And you could do some instructions, right? And you could have an apprentice under you. A master barber could have an apprentice under him. Then the 4th step would be the instructor. But I can go back to it. The trade guilds, right?
Okay.
Barbering comes out of the trade guilds, right? So each trade guild has its steps in it. So most trade guilds, whether you doing masonry or
HVAC, electrical,
you
yeah,
start off as an apprentice.
Yes,
You know
that's
what
why I
mean?
asked. Yeah.
Journeyman apprentice. You dig what I'm saying? Then you go to the journeyman,
Then it's the masters after the
and
journeyman.
then it's the masters, right? And then whatever stages you go to, you know what I mean? But it follows that same academic hierarchy.
Okay, because I know that hierarchy because I'm used to it in HVAC or electrical. It's a process to it as far as you have to build those hours and build those times in order for you to advance, and you have to take a special test to go ahead and get advanced to each individual stages. Is that the same way it was at one point?
Yes.
That you had to put those hours in, and then after that, okay.
Yeah,
But
it goes by. All right. Well, if you look at other trades, right? Most trade guilds, right, was first like owned by families.
Okay.
Right. So you would go through the family line to get these skills, right? Most your family, they would be the smiths, the blacksmiths of the community, right? So they would keep that information in house because that's the way their family feed themselves, right? That's the way that they do that. So if you had the barbering skill, right, or the masonry skill, or whatever skill that made you what you call that showed your usefulness to the community, right? Everybody wanted to be useful to the community. That way you won't be expendable.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They
Makes
need
sense.
me,
Yeah.
right? So families would hone skills and they would keep that knowledge and just pass it on to their family, right? So it became secretive, right, for the most part. So if you look at it, if you look at even the cap and gown, or the cap that when you graduate, right, from higher learning, that actually comes out of the trade guilds, right? That flat cap represented the trowel, right, of the masonry, right, where you will put the mortar on it, right? It represented that flat is crazy, but do the history on it, right? And that was the tools of the trade, right? And you got that trowel, right, when you passed certain degrees, right? And then the masonry even go into Freemasonry, right? But you follow all of the same steps in Freemasonry. When you apply, you're an apprentice, right? You're a journeyman, right? You're a master mason. You know what I mean? Same thing. And then a lot of that, right? Even with farming, right? In the ancient world, the farmers held that knowledge between them and their family, right? Because you wanted to be useful to the community. If you give this information out to everybody, then they don't need you no more, right? They don't need, everybody know it. That's not how it works. But now we live in a metropolitan, society where you can go to schools and learn these different things. So it follows that same history.
I wasn't expecting to get that, but that was some good information. I also wanted to talk about, or I guess we could say the difference now, like you said, it's open. Like now, even general population, one of the things that I'm learning how to do as an entrepreneur is almost like giving the information away, not holding it to myself, because it's more beneficial to be able to help others and in turn they will help you. So that's the saying that I have. Get as many people what they want, and in turn they'll get you what you want. So now I'm able to say, all right, cool. I'm confident in my abilities to run my own appliance shop. If I teach you how to do it and how to run your own appliance shop, I'm not scared. I'm not intimidated because I know how good I am, and I know for a fact I'm better than you. But if you're better than me, fine. But I'm still going to eat anyway. It doesn't matter. So I don't have to worry about
Or
that.
if you're better than me, that's gonna make me step my game up.
Exactly.
So I need that anyway.
You need that anyway. So that's one of the things I like, how that transition has been made now. And these are things that I had to learn, because initially when I first started, I wanted to do it myself, all myself, keep it to myself. But I only could get but so much. It was a cap on it. But now once I started releasing the information, allowing people to help, the business is growing in a way where it's like, oh man, this whole time I thought I had to do it all myself. But now that I'm growing and maturing and expanding, it's best to put the information out there so I can help as many people as possible. So what do you think about that theory and all about what I just said?
Yeah, I definitely agree. You have to give back. You have to pass that information on, right? You can't keep it to yourself.
Right.
Like, and you know, the best way you know you master something is by how well you could teach it.
Say that again.
Right.
Man.
So one of the greatest ways that you would know how good you are is in the other people that, you know, then learned from you and even became great because of what you taught them. So if you teach somebody, you know, your skill, and they go out and they get a bigger business than you, then you did your job. You feel me? You did your job, because you never can control. One thing that you can't teach a person is drive, right?
Want to.
Yeah. You can't teach. You can teach a person skill, right, and technique all you want, but you can't teach drive. Now that person drive is what's gonna make them great. You know what I mean? It's so many people out here with talent and skill, but get nowhere off. Talent and skill alone does not move the needle.
No.
Right? It doesn't make people think that.
Yeah.
You dig what I'm saying? I am not the best barber, but I get up every day and I come in here. Right? So I didn't kill, 50% of the other barbers for the simple fact that I'm going to get up and come in here. You know how many people in the hood can cut hair?
Yeah.
You know, it's a dude that live right next door to y'all with some clippers who probably can cut better than all of us. But he ain't got no drive. He couldn't handle coming in here every day, setting his schedule, being in here for 8 hours and killing it and being consistent. Because drive and consistency is the main thing. It's the main thing. You cannot express that, you know what I mean? Anything that you do over a certain amount of time consistently, you're gonna get good at it. You're gonna get good. So getting good at something, if you're doing it, you're gonna get good at it, right? But drive and consistency, that come with the person.
Yeah.
You dig what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That come with the person. That's something that you do. And I don't care who you, anything. You can set the most goofiest person in NASA, right? And if he's around there long enough, he gonna learn something. He gonna become functional there at a job doing something, and that's in NASA, right? But that person that get up every day, right? That dude who just there because he just there because, right? But that dude will never be an astronaut.
Right.
You feel me? The astronauts, they the best of the best, right? They up, you know what I mean, till 5 o'clock in the morning studying. They rocket scientists, right? They can't take no breaks. Their lives depend on that, right? If they do something wrong, the rocket blow up. If they do something wrong, they don't come back to Earth.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that drive is the difference. Everybody that works at NASA is not an astronaut. There's only a few astronauts in NASA. Think about that.
Yo, you said a lot there, especially when we were talking about the drive, and that's one of the things, and being consistent at it. Like you said, a lot of people are talented and gifted, but getting up every day consistently. If I would have known when I first started my own business 11 years ago that it would take me 11 years to get to this point, I probably wouldn't have did it. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So now that I don't know what the outcome is, and you have to get up consistently every day, there's times when you get up each and every day, you don't even know how the day is going to turn out. You might not have no money in the bank. You might be broke, and you got to spin, with whether it's money or spending your time, but you just got to be consistent and grind. There's times that I had to put in 14 hours, 16 hours, work 6 days a week. You had to not go to certain events. I couldn't be it. I got to work. I got clients. I got to get up in the morning. You talk about that drive, and that's what separates the best of the best. That's what separates those who want it and those who don't, is the consistency and just the willpower, just consistently every day, just doing it. Just get up and doing it. Man, yo, you crushing the interview today, bro. Like, I underestimated what we going to talk about, because I had whatever. I didn't even really open up my list of what we going to talk about, because everything that you talked about is what we wanted to talk about. You know what I mean? So you're doing an amazing job, bro. I appreciate everything that you really giving us today, for real. Another thing I always talk about, it's not where you start, it's where you finish, because I just want to get into you a little bit. What did you used to do before you started being a barber? Like, what odd jobs you had?
Oh man, odd jobs.
Yeah.
Man, I worked everywhere.
Everybody say that, y'all. They work.
Yeah, I worked everywhere. I worked for BG&E.
Okay.
The gas and electric company, for people that's not in Baltimore or the Baltimore area. BG&E is our electric company.
Right.
Our gas and electric company. So I worked for BG&E for a couple years. I worked for Baltimore City for about a year, but it wasn't for me.
Right.
And that was doing fixing the street.
You was wearing one of those little what is it, a vest?
Yeah, look.
Highlighters.
Yeah, man, that was the worst job I ever had in my life. I hated it. So I worked for the Baltimore City, right? Street crew. Used to tar the streets and fix the potholes.
When it was 100 degrees outside.
It was horrible, right? It was horrible. I used to call out all the time. I was the worst worker, like, ever. Like, I didn't used to want to get out the truck. They used to have to beg me to get out the truck. I used to hate it. But, yeah, I did that. I worked for BG&E. And my last job, before I left there and started working full-time in the barbershop, I worked for Social Security Administration for a few years.
Okay.
And everybody looked at me like I was crazy for leaving a government job to do my own business, right? Because, you know, most black people, like, you get a government job and then you work there to your retirement. Yeah. And that's... You set. Yeah, and then you're set.
Yeah,
you know
you're good.
So most people didn't understand that I was leaving to start my own business, you know, as a barber. So I got a lot of backlash, you know, and weird looks, like, you know, for that. So, yeah.
Bro, where did your inspiration come from? Was there anybody that was in your family that you saw that you wanted to connect yourself with? I know for me personally, I had my uncle. He was running his own business. He used to wake us up. He used to leave at 6 o'clock in the morning in the summer while we still sleep. Squirt us with water, wake us up in the morning. And by the time he came back at 12, we still be asleep. So you know he was heated after doing 6 hours and we still was asleep. I saw him. I saw some of my aunts. One had a, what is the child care center where she take care of kids. One of my aunts, my grandmother that I grew up with in Jamaica, and my aunts, they used to do sewing, so they used to make clothes, seamstress, and people for the neighborhood, and people used to come to them and get fitted, and the measuring tape. I used to try to make my own clothes for my own teddy bears when I was younger, because I was trying to mimic them. So where did your inspiration come from to, like, even make a drastic step to leave a company that you said most people wouldn't, but you left? Why?
Being rebellious. Right? I don't think it was anything, you know, I don't think it was anything in me that was different than anybody else. Right. I think it was just being rebellious. Okay. Right? Every job that I worked at, it would always be somebody there that made me quit. Right? And because out of fear though.
Right.
Because there would be an older person there who'd be like, boy, I started here when I was your age.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd be like, and you right here? Oh no, I ain't gonna be you. If this is where this leads to, I already got fear now. Already got fear now. You know what I mean? So and when I worked, it's crazy because every job that I worked at, right, I get more complaints as a barber from my clients than I did at any job that I worked at, right? Far as wise, other than that city job, that was, I just didn't want to do it. It wasn't for me. But every other job that I worked at, management loved me, loved my work ethic. You know what I mean? So I think those things can, and then I'm just an energetic person.
Right.
I think that goes over, you know what I mean, well,
Right.
right? I'm never down and dragging. You feel me? So I think that part of, so management always liked me because when I come in the building, you know, I'm in good spirits, I'm moving around. If something need to get done, I'm doing it. Just always had a lot of energy, right? But I think I get more complaints as a barber, right? Man, you don't answer your phone.
He does not, but go ahead.
Man, you don't answer your phone. Man, I called you 2 times this week. Blase, blase.
Yep, that's about right.
I texted you 2 days ago. All that, I get that, right? But if you come in here, I'm gonna cut your hair.
Oh yeah, we know.
Yeah, you're gonna get I don't refuse service.
Right.
Right? Once I start, I go to it's done. So that's a part of now that's something that I need to work on personally. But I forget this device, this phone, right? Most people I always advise text me. I will get to it. Right? So I might not get to it in an hour and a half. By the time I lay down at night and I go through my text messages, I'm gonna respond. Now, if you trying to get a haircut right now, bad. Yeah. If you text me while I'm working, I might not ever look at it because I'm working. Right. I'm already locked in and focused. Right. So most appointments are made in advance. If they're not made in advance, I will still do my best to fit you in.
Oh yeah,
right?
you fit people in.
I respect my clientele. Right. If you need me, if it's days that I don't work, right, and it's important, something that's important to you, if it's not going to take away from something that I had planned with my daughter or my family, then I'll try to do my best, you know, to you know, it's even a family that I go to every other Sunday and cut their hair because one of the sons have cerebral palsy. And since COVID, you know, you don't want him leaving out because he got a weak immune system. He come in here, he could get exposed to something. So since COVID for the last 2 years, I've been going to them. She have 2 other sons, so I just cut all of them on Sunday. I go to their house and I, you know, make that house call. If somebody was in a nursing home, a client or something is in a nursing home now, if I'm their barber, then, you know, set up a time, I come, you know, do that out call, cut your hair, you know, while you doing your rehabilitation, right? Because haircuts actually make people feel better, right? Like
makes you look better too.
Yeah, make you look better. You get a nice shave, and you know what I mean. So, yeah.
So one thing I just thought about, would you consider doing more, like outward or like house calls of that nature, or is it too much? Would you expand into that type of avenue?
Right now, no, gas is too high.
I mean, hey.
Yeah, gas is too high. And once I'm settled, I feel as though I put enough time in the barbershop for everybody to come in here and get a haircut. I don't, you know, I don't take shortcuts. If I do at least 8 hours in here, you can make an hour out of that within that week. To come in here and get your hair cut. You know what I mean? You have to be doing something extra lazy if I'm spending 8 hours or more a day in here, right? And I gotta still come to you. That's crazy.
Okay.
Yeah, that's great. And some people ask for that. Some people actually think that they are that busy, right? That they are that important, right? That I should spend 8 hours cutting hair in the shop and then leave the shop, pack all my stuff up, leave the shop, and come to their personal domain and cut their hair. That's crazy.
Okay. So that means a no.
That's great. Now, if you don't want to get your hair cut while there's other people around, then you make that appointment.
Right.
In the shop. But I shouldn't have.
No, I was just thinking about how, like we talked about the pandemic, how businesses had to switch it up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Make that transition. So
They're
that's what I was saying,
definitely mobile barbering then picked up.
Right, that's what I'm talking
right?
about. Yeah.
Mobile barbering then picked up.
Right.
And if somebody is willing to pay, you know, the price for the upcharge of mobile barbering, and you can work that into, by all means do it. I just don't want to. Right? I don't want to be riding around chasing haircuts. that don't make sense. I'd rather sit here and let the haircuts come to me. But me riding around chasing haircuts, nah, I don't want to do that. I could do Uber Eats or something if I want. If I want to deliver something to somebody, I'm not gonna just deliver you haircuts. DoorDashing you haircuts. These guys get lost their
Oh my God. All right, so Shea Cutzz. Where did the inspiration comes from for the name Shea Cutzz? Because there's times when I was starting my own business, I didn't know what to call it. I hear people say you don't really want to call or name your business after yourself, little stuff like that. But that was after the fact. I've already done it. Right. So where did you get the inspiration for the name?
Same thing. Actually, I never really used it until this year.
Right.
When I opened Fame Studios.
Right.
That's always when I first started barbering. I made these little corny cards, right? This was before all of the social media jumped off. So it was this website called Vistaprint.
Yeah, they still out there. They gonna say call Vistaprint.
Yeah.
What? I still order stuff from Vistaprint, dog.
So Vistaprint, you know, they would send you a box of 100 free for signing up with your email, and then you know, you could get more and more personalized if you subscribe to a subscription or something, blase, blase. Yeah. Right? So, I think it was my daughter's mother at that time, right, when I was in barber school. This is a good segment. All right. When I was in barber school, anything that I do it to the max. Right. Right? Like, I invest fully into it. Remember, I was working at Social Security when I started barbering school, so I was going part-time. Right. But I said I want to be a barber, right? So everybody, oh, Lord, here you go with another crazy idea. He never heard this before. Boom, boom, boom. Right. So when I went and signed up for barber school, and I paid out of pocket, right? So when I signed up for barber school... How much does it cost for barber school for those who want to go to barber school? This was years ago, though, but how much did you pay? I think I paid around $5,000.
See, that's not a lot. That's pretty good.
But I think now, I think it's $8,000. The school that I went to, right? I think it's $8,000, but that's the cheaper school. Right. The other schools, the cosmetology schools that teach barbering, I think that should damn near $20,000. Right. So check out Avera's International Academy of Hair Design. If y'all interested in barbering, don't go nowhere else in Baltimore. They gonna rob you blind. You gonna have to take out loans, and it's not worth it. Right. Go to Avera's International Academy of Hair Design and Technology, and it's located in Dundalk, Baltimore County now.
Right. That's for all the Baltimore people.
But so back to what I was saying. So when I started barbering school, I said, everybody thought I was crazy, but they know once I go into something, I go all the way. Right. So, I said, man, how can I get good quick, right?
Mhm.
I said, man, you got a lot of homeboys, right? You know everybody. They gonna let you cut their hair just because you who you is. So this what you do.
Yeah.
This what you do,
Mhm.
right? You got a big family. You got a lot of friends. You know everybody in the hood. Everybody rock with you. They just gonna cut because they gonna want to hang out with you.
Right.
So boom, I brought a barber chair,
Mhm.
right? And I redid my whole basement
Mhm.
in my house. I went to the barbershop that I was going to, Miss Sissy, on Dofield and Garrison, right? She was cutting my hair since I was a kid, right? Matter of fact, I was going to her when she was in barber school.
Wow.
Yeah. I was going to her when she was in barber school. I used to have a high top fade back in the day, and she used to cut our hair, for free because she was in barber school then, right? Older, she still cut hair now, but she's starting to tape off because she's older. But anyway, I went to her barber shop and I said, Miss Sissy, because she always told me, you should go to barber school. She used to always tell me, you got a nice personality, you'll do good. And I draw and stuff. She was like, you will be, you know what I mean? So I never paid no attention, but I always hung around the barber shop, right? So she would always say that because where her barbershop was at, it was the local drug strip.
Okay.
Where everybody used to hang out at, boom, boom, boom. So we used to be out there all day, right? The police would come, we would run in the barbershop, act like we was getting our hair cut, and she used to take care of us. No, they was in here getting their hair cut, leave them alone. Blase, blase. She was motherly, right? So when I told her I was going to barber school, she was so excited, right? So she gave me a list of everything that I should get. So when she did that, I said, okay, Miss Sissy, I'm gonna go get a barber chair. I'm gonna do it. But when she said, you can come in here, and I said, no, I don't really want to, do that, boom, 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 because I'm in barber school. But long story short, I went and remodeled my whole basement into a barber shop, right? And my baby mother at the time, my daughter mother, I think she was pregnant with my daughter at the time. And she said, she went online and she said, I'm gonna get you some business cards. And when she got the business cards, she like, what name can we put on your business cards? So everybody was calling me Shay, right? So he said, just call it Shay Cutzz, right? Put Shay Cutzz on there. All right, so boom. So since I had those cards since 2005, that became my email, and I always kept using it, even on the video game system. That's my name, you know what I mean? So when I said I'm gonna open up this, I said I should incorporate my name that I've been using. So I said I'm gonna start my own business inside of my barbershop, Shay Cutzz, so everybody can have their personal business. You know what I mean? This would be my the same thing that I was saying earlier. So that's where my name Shay Cutzz came from.
The inspiration, okay. I mean,
Vistaprint.
Yeah, Vistaprint. They still around. I didn't even know Vistaprint was around back then. I never used no Vistaprint back then. Wasn't no need.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everything I needed, parents would pay for. All right, so I got another thing that I can actually think about, because I know great information, by the way, about the interview that you got. We're talking about the last interview that we did. We talked about booth rent, right? So what's the charge like that you got to pay as a barber? Just for those people that want to be a barber and don't know and then want to work into a shop to get that experience, like what's the average price that you would pay for something like that? Or
okay, a booth rent is pretty much it would be consistent in a barbershop. Now, the owner could work with you, right, according to your clientele, but it's a standard rate that each chair should produce, right? So since we don't go off of commission, right, you set your own prices, right? But the chair you should have a general price on a chair a month. So if you have 4 chairs in your shop, you should say, okay, each chair should cost $1,000 a month, right? Each chair should bring in $1,000 a month. So to the business, you know what I mean, to the shop.
Right.
So you say, okay, that would make 4 weeks in a month, right? I don't want you to have to pay the $1,000, at the beginning of the month, or that's too much for a person. So you would say every week you know what I mean, your booth rent is $250. Now, if you decide to pay once a month, fine.
Mm-hmm.
But long as the chair make what you planned it, you know what I mean, what you put in your business plan, right? Then that's pretty much how that go.
Okay, so it's pretty much right about the same. So, okay, so yeah, so that's what we was discussing the last time. So that's pretty good, pretty good information. I'm trying to look at my list to try to, because we're just about wrapping this up. Like I said, great interview. By the way, brother, insight that you done brought today. I'm trying to tell you, if you want to be a barber, brother, you got some information that you put out there that you can help a lot of people. Any advice that you want to give to almost like wrap this interview up to anyone that wants to be an entrepreneur, be a barber? A couple things that you can say that they can start off doing to help that process.
Go to barber school. There's a lot of barbers that do the apprenticeship. There's a lot of barbers that, just have the natural talent, right? And they pick it up just so easily, right? But what I've noticed is that most barbers that go to barber school have a better business understanding of barbering than the people who just do the apprenticeship or just learn how to cut in their house. And for anybody, right, for black barbers in particular, black barbering was a way for black men to elevate in their community. Black barbering was the highest standard of barbering in the United States. The black barbers were actually ex-slaves, right? That the slave masters actually set up barbershops for the black barbers because they were so good at their job. So it was a luxury for white people to say, I have a black barber.
Okay.
That's how serious that's how serious barbering was for black men, right? The skill, the amount of prestige that black barbers got from white America or the affluent white America, right? Black barbers was accepted in their communities before anybody else, any other black people was.
Okay.
Right? Because, like I said, that was like something to boast about. Right? I go to a black barber. If you said you went to a black barber, you was going to a good barber. Right? Because during slavery, the barbers performed all of those duties. So the cleanliness that you learn in barber school actually comes from the black barbers. The shave, the using the different astringents, right? Everything that white people was getting during slavery, the black people was doing it. So when slavery ended, they started opening up barbershops in town, the slave masters, right? They would open up barbershops in town, and even during slavery, right? They would set up barbershops in town and put their black barber slaves in the barbershop to make money for them. So that was so we became so good, right, at our craft, and it's heartbreaking that we don't keep that prestige going, right? That it was at one time everybody wanted to come to a black barber because it meant something, right? It meant that we were excellent at our craft, and not to be to use anything racially divisive or anything. Communities of people are known for certain things, right? In our community, we say, I want a Jewish lawyer. Now, what that means is that we respect, the skill of people of Jewish ancestry that they have in interpreting the law. Meaning that's something that they
are proficient in.
in.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's something that they are proficient in. You know, when you hear you say nowadays, when you see somebody got a good manicured lawn, right? You say they must have been Spanish, right? Because they're good at their job. It's something they take pride in doing, right? In lawn care.
Yeah.
Their work stand out. There's nothing wrong, you know what I mean, with acknowledging that a particular group of people, right, are proficient in certain, you know what I mean, jobs. It don't mean that they're better than other people. No, it's just for some reason they chose something, right, and they say we're going to be good at that. For instance, the Tuskegee Institute, right, Booker T. Washington, he opened the Tuskegee Institute. And his main thing was, people said that he was a racist sympathizer, right? And that he was an Uncle Tom and a bootlicker. Because he was saying that, you know, white people in America are used to black people working for them, right? And performing certain jobs. Well, be the best at it, right? If they're going to accept you as being a brick mason, be the best brick masons, right? If they want you to be the cooks, be the best cooks. Chefs are well respected. You're feeding people. There's nothing demeaning about being a chef, right? There's nothing demeaning about preparing people food. Do you look down on your grandmother because she cooked for the family? Do you think she less than?
No.
You dig what I'm? No. Don't nobody think that.
No.
You dig what I'm saying? So it's all about what you put into something, right? So if you put the most into it, people will recognize you for that. Black barbers need to get back to being proficient, right? Get back to people thinking it's a badge of honor or something prestigious to go to a black barber. It's almost like a given. If you're a black person, you step on the basketball court, everybody think that you're supposed to be able to play basketball. Now, what that means is that there are some amazing black basketball players. And they're so good that good basketball players is synonymous, then became synonymous in people's minds with a black person. Right? If a person can run fast, right, you run like a black person. If a person can run long, the people that's in Kenya, right?
Long distance
runner. Man, you can run like one of them Kenyans, right? They don't say that's racist. No, that's something that they good at, right? So there's something that they're proficient in. So there's nothing wrong with our people becoming proficient in things, right? And being looked at as the highest standard in certain professions. We should always try to get back to that or reach those type of levels.
Man, yeah, that was some information there. Got 2 questions left. One of the questions that I wanted to ask you, like I said, here we're trying to promote small business owners. Are you hiring? And if you're hiring, what is it that you're looking for in an assistant, in a barber, a helper? What is it that you're looking for if someone needs to apply or they see this on whatever platform we got it on and they're interested in an opportunity?
Basically, licensed barber.
Correct. Okay. Work experience, how long does that matter at all?
No, that doesn't matter.
Okay.
Work experience don't matter. As long as you can go out and bring in clientele, right? However you choose to do it, your skill level doesn't matter. I'll actually assist in, helping you hone your skills if there's anything, that I can help further your craft.
Okay.
I've always been like that. So, because I started in the barbershop where, one thing, how you start, is going to be a good indication of how you finish. Okay. Right? And I worked in a barbershop where the barbers was very helpful, the seasoned barbers, right? They, I always stood behind their chairs and, watched them for hours when I didn't have clients, right? When you start out in the barbershop, you don't have no clients, right? So, yeah. So the barbers that I started out with, right? They would let me stand behind them for hours. They taught me everything. Anything that I wanted to learn, they taught it to me, right? They would help me with haircuts, right? And just the equipment, sharing their stuff. Like, so I come from that. So in a barbershop setting, I try to give the same things that was given to me to help me succeed. I try to do those same things. So if you want to work at Fame Studios, I definitely will try to impart all of the things that benefited me and my barbering onto you, and I'm still learning. So
that's good.
It's a never-ending process.
Yeah. So again, of course, we're gonna put your information out there as well if you need to contact him. All this is gonna be in the description box and everything that we do here as well. Last question that I'm gonna ask you, I kind of already know what the answer is. Would you go back working for somebody else, or will you just continue doing what you're doing?
Oh man, I would teach.
Okay, I'm at that level now.
Yeah.
I want to do that.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind teaching, right? So if a job that more than likely that I would take, it would be an instructor job in barbering. Okay. Right. And I'm a photographer. I'm an enthusiast. Okay. Right. So I like to dabble in that. So. Okay.
I know that was the last question. Any other business that you want to plug that you're doing? Any other YouTube channel shows? Any other business ventures you have? I want to put you out there. What you
definitely. I have a podcast. It's on YouTube. It's the Pseudo Killers, right? It will be in the description. It's a lively show. You get to see me in my raw element, my opinionated attitude, where I attack a wide different issues, current issues, history, religion, politics, so it's called the Pseudo Killers, and what we do is we attack pseudoisms that plague the black community. Okay. So.
All right. That's cool. Again, I appreciate you, man. I'm your boy, Richie Rich. It's your Fired Podcast. You already know, man, we speak to entrepreneurs, inspire others to be entrepreneurs, give you some steps and some tools that you can use so you can start your own business, be independent. It's one of the greatest things I've ever done. And the feeling that I get from it, I want everybody who can and will to experience what I'm feeling, because it's nothing like having your own, building your own, starting your own. The freedom and independence that you get, brother, it is priceless. All right, so thank you, brother, as always, man. Freeny, you know what I'm saying? Again, don't forget, man, if you need to shape up in the Baltimore area, you already know where to come at, man. The dude is nice. Shay Cutzz, you know where he got the name from. You know it's in Famous Studios as well. Your boy, Freeny, man, appreciate you, brother. Thanks again, man.
My man, appreciate you.
All right, cool.